Hey guys, tonight we're stepping into something. We're diving deep into the banks of the Nile. Welcome to ancient Egypt. Welcome to a time more than 4,000 years ago when the world moved to the rhythm of the river and the passage of the sun. Tonight, we will walk in the footsteps of a pyramid builder, a man named Khufu, not the pharaoh, but a simple worker who shares the great king's name. There is nothing you need to remember, nothing you need to understand. Just let the ancient world wash over you, like the flooding Nile, like the desert wind, like sleep itself. Close your eyes now, if you haven't already. Feel yourself drifting back, through time, through centuries, through millennia. Back to the old kingdom, to the fourth dynasty, to the time of the Great Pyramids. The year is approximately 2560 before the Common Era. The place is Giza, a plateau beside the mighty Nile, where the greatest structure humanity has ever built is slowly, stone by stone, rising toward the sky. But we are not concerned with greatness tonight. We are concerned with the ordinary, the daily, the repetitive, the slow, steady rhythm of simple work, simple life, simple routines that lead naturally, peacefully to sleep. Breathe slowly now, in through your nose, out through your mouth. Feel your body growing heavier. Feel yourself sinking down into your bed, into the past, into rest. Let me tell you about Khufu, the pyramid builder. He lives in a workers' village near the pyramid site, a village built specially for the thousands of men who labor on the pharaoh's eternal monument. The village is made of mud brick, simple rectangular houses arranged in neat rows. Each house much like the next, each family living much like their neighbors. Khufu's house has 4 rooms: a main room where the family gathers, a smaller room for sleeping, a storage room for grain and goods, and a small courtyard open to the sky where cooking is done and children play. The walls are thick mud brick, plastered smooth, painted white to reflect the fierce Egyptian sun. The roof is flat, made of palm logs covered with mud. Sometimes, on hot nights, the family sleeps there under the stars, under the endless sky. Inside, the house is cool. The thick walls keep out the heat. In the main room, there are a few simple furnishings: a low table, some woven red mats to sit upon, clay oil lamps that flicker in the evening, casting gentle shadows on the white walls. Hey guys, tonight we're stepping into something. We're diving deep into the banks of the Nile. Welcome to ancient Egypt. Welcome to a time more than 4,000 years ago when the world moved to the rhythm of the river and the passage of the sun. Tonight, we will walk in the footsteps of a pyramid builder, a man named Khufu, not the pharaoh, but a simple worker who shares the great king's name. There is nothing you need to remember, nothing you need to understand. Just let the ancient world wash over you, like the flooding Nile, like the desert wind, like sleep itself. Close your eyes now, if you haven't already. Feel yourself drifting back, through time, through centuries, through millennia. Back to the old kingdom, to the fourth dynasty, to the time of the Great Pyramids. The year is approximately 2560 before the Common Era. The place is Giza, a plateau beside the mighty Nile, where the greatest structure humanity has ever built is slowly, stone by stone, rising toward the sky. But we are not concerned with greatness tonight. We are concerned with the ordinary, the daily, the repetitive, the slow, steady rhythm of simple work, simple life, simple routines that lead naturally, peacefully to sleep. Breathe slowly now, in through your nose, out through your mouth. Feel your body growing heavier. Feel yourself sinking down, 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 into your bed, into the past, into rest. Let me tell you about Khufu, the pyramid builder. He lives in a workers' village near the pyramid site, a village built specially for the thousands of men who labor on the pharaoh's eternal monument. The village is made of mud brick, simple rectangular houses arranged in neat rows, each house much like the next, each family living much like their neighbors. Khufu's house has 4 rooms: a main room where the family gathers, a smaller room for sleeping, a storage room for grain and goods, and a small courtyard open to the sky where cooking is done and children play. The walls are thick mud brick, plastered smooth, painted white to reflect the fierce Egyptian sun. The roof is flat, made of palm logs covered with mud. Sometimes, on hot nights, the family sleeps there under the stars, under the endless sky. Inside, the house is cool. The thick walls keep out the heat. In the main room, there are a few simple furnishings: a low table, some woven red mats to sit upon, clay oil lamps that flicker in the evening, casting gentle shadows on the white walls. He splashes water on his face, on his arms. The cold water helps him wake, helps him prepare for the day ahead. Another day of work, of lifting stones, of pulling ropes, of the endless, repetitive, monotonous labor that builds a pyramid. By the time he has finished washing, the sky has lightened more. Now he can see the outlines of other houses, the shapes of palm trees in the distance, the dark line of the pyramid rising against the lightening sky. Soon, Nefret emerges from the house. She has woken. She has dressed. Now she comes to prepare the morning meal. They do not speak much. There is no need. They have done this every morning for years. She knows what to do. He knows what to do. The routine is established, comfortable, like an old song sung so many times that the words come without thinking. Nefret takes bread from the storage room, flat bread, baked yesterday. She sets it out on a mat. She pours beer from a large jar into clay cups. Egyptian beer, thick and nutritious, not very alcoholic, but filling, good. Khufu eats slowly. The bread is coarse, made from emmer wheat, ground between stones. There are always tiny pieces of stone in the bread. They wear down people's teeth, over years, over decades. But everyone's bread has these stones. It is normal, expected, part of life. The beer is slightly sour, but good, refreshing. He drinks deeply, feeling it fill his belly, give him strength for the work ahead. The children begin to wake. He can hear them stirring inside. Little Seneb beginning to fuss. Hinat calling softly for her mother. But Khufu must go. He cannot stay for the slow unfolding of the family mourning. He must go to the pyramid, to work, as he does every day, as he has done for 3 years now, as he will do for years to come, until the pyramid is complete. He stands. He nods to Nefret. She nods back. No words needed. He turns. He walks. Toward the edge of the village. Toward the pyramid site. Toward another day of slow, steady, repetitive labor. Khufu walks through the village, along the familiar paths, packed earth, worn smooth by thousands of feet, walking the same route, day after day, year after year. Other workers join him, emerging from their houses, falling into step, moving together toward the pyramid, like a slow river of men, flowing in one direction. They do not talk much. It is too early. They are saving their energy for the work ahead. Some nod in greeting. Some walk in silence. Each man lost in his own thoughts or in no thoughts at all. Just walking, just moving, just being. The path leads out of the village, across open ground. The earth here is pale, sandy, scattered with stones. Here and there, small scrubby plants. But mostly just sand and stone and the endless sky, growing lighter now with each passing moment. To the right, the Nile, though it cannot be seen from here. Khufu knows it is there, less than a mile away. The great river, the source of all life. Without the Nile, there would be no Egypt. No fields, no food, no people, just desert, endless, empty, dead. But the Nile brings water. Every year it floods, covering the fields with rich black silt. When the water recedes, farmers plant, the crops grow. In the black soil, Egypt lives because of the river. During the flood season, when the fields are underwater, that is when the farmers come to build the pyramid. During inundation, for 3 or 4 months, they cannot farm. So instead, they labor. For the pharaoh, it is their duty, their service, their tax, paid not in grain, but in labor, in sweat, in years of their lives. Khufu is not a farmer. He is a permanent worker, a skilled laborer, who works on the pyramid year-round. He is paid in rations, bread, beer, onions, garlic, sometimes meat, sometimes fish, enough to feed his family, to keep them alive, to keep him working. Ahead, the pyramid rises. Already it is enormous, taller than anything, taller than any building anyone has ever made. And yet, it is not finished. Not even close. Year after year, stone upon stone, row upon row, layer upon layer. It grows, slowly, steadily, patiently. The pyramid is not built quickly. It will take 20 years, maybe more. 20 years of labor, of thousands of men, working together, moving stones, each stone weighing tons, each stone cut from quarries, moved on sledges, dragged up ramps, set into place, with precision, with care, with endless, exhausting, mind-numbing effort. But Khufu does not think of the whole pyramid. That is too large, too overwhelming. He thinks only of today, of the stones he will move today, of the ropes he will pull today, of the hours he will endure today. One day, one stone, one pull at a time. The group of workers reaches the base of the pyramid. Here, there is activity. Even at this early hour, men are already gathering, organizing, preparing for the day's work. Overseers stand with papyrus scrolls, checking off names, assigning tasks. Their voices carry across the morning air, sharp, commanding, but not cruel. The overseers are skilled men. They know the work. They know what is possible, what is not. Khufu joins his gang, his work crew, the same men he works with every day. 20 men in his gang. He knows them all, their names, their families, their strengths, their weaknesses. They are not quite friends, but comrades, bound together by shared labor, by shared sweat, by the slow passing of years. The overseer approaches. He nods to the gang leader, a man named Tahodab, older than Khufu, experienced, respected. Tahodab listens to the overseer's instructions, then turns to the gang. Ramp 3, he says simply. Stones from the river up to the north face. 20 stones today. The men nod. They know what this means. They have done it hundreds of times. They will do it hundreds more. 20 stones up the ramp, each stone weighing perhaps 2.5 tons, perhaps more. It will take all day, with all their strength, with all their effort. But that is tomorrow's concern. For now, they simply begin to walk toward the river landing, where the stones wait, as they always wait, as they always will wait, until human hands and human sweat and human patience move them, one by one, toward immortality. The walk to the river landing takes time, not far, perhaps half a mile, but in the growing heat, it feels longer. The sun has risen now, just barely, just peeking over the horizon. Already, the air begins to warm. By midday, it will be brutally hot. But for now, in the early morning, it is still bearable. The path leads down from the plateau toward the river's edge. Here, there is a landing, a place where boats arrive, boats carrying stone blocks cut from quarries far upstream. At Tura, at Aswan, floated down the river on barges, then unloaded here to begin their final journey up to the pyramid. When they arrive at the landing, the stones are waiting. 20 stones, as promised, each one sitting on a wooden sledge. The sledges are simple, just flat wooden platforms with curved fronts, designed to slide across the sand when pulled by many men and many ropes. The stones themselves are limestone, pale gold in the morning light. Their surfaces are rough, covered in dust, in marks from the copper chisels that cut them from the quarry face. Each stone is roughly rectangular, though not perfect. Not yet. They will be shaped more later, fitted precisely into place. But for now, they are just rough blocks, heavy, silent, waiting. Khufu and his gang approach the first stone. They have done this so many times. They know exactly what to do. The ropes are already attached to the sledge, thick ropes made from papyrus fibers, twisted into cables strong enough to pull the massive weight. The 20 men of the gang divide into positions, 10 men on each side of the sledge. Each man takes hold of the rope, plants his feet, leans back, feels the weight in his hands, in his shoulders, in his legs. Tohodop, the gang leader, stands to the side, watching, checking that everyone is ready, that the path ahead is clear, that all is as it should be. Ready, he calls. The men grunt in response, ready as they ever are, as they always are. Pull, Tohodop shouts, and the men pull. 20 men pulling together, their muscles straining, their feet digging into the sand, their breath coming hard, their faces tight with effort. At first, nothing happens. The stone sits still, too heavy, impossibly heavy for just 20 men. But they keep pulling, steady, constant pressure, and slowly, very slowly, the sledge begins to move, just an inch, then another, then slowly, steadily, it slides forward across the sand. Once it starts moving, it becomes easier. Not easy, but easier. The sledge slides. The men pull. One step, another step, another. Slowly, the stone moves away from the river, toward the ramp, toward the pyramid. This is the work. This is what they do all day, every day, moving stones, one at a time, from here to there, slowly, steadily, endlessly. The rhythm is hypnotic. Pull, step, pull, step, pull, step, over and over. The same motion, the same effort, the same slow progress. Khufu's hands grip the rope. He pulls, in time, with the others. He does not think. He does not plan. He just pulls, steps, pulls, steps. His body knows this rhythm. His muscles remember, even when his mind drifts away. The sun climbs higher. The air grows warmer. Sweat begins to form on foreheads, on backs, dripping into eyes, into the sand. But still, they pull. Still, they step. Still, the stone moves forward, inch by inch, foot by foot, toward the base of the ramp. Let yourself feel this rhythm. Pull and step, pull and step. Your own breathing, slowing to match the pace of ancient labor. Slow, steady, endless, leading you gently towards sleep. The ramp is enormous, a massive structure in its own right, built of mud brick and rubble and sand, rising up the side of the pyramid at a gentle angle, wide enough for sledges to pass, for men to pull, for work to continue day after day. As the pyramid grows higher, the ramp must also grow longer, steeper, more massive. When the pyramid is finished, the ramp will be dismantled, taken away. But for now, it is essential, the only way to bring stones up to the higher levels. Khufu's gang reaches the base of the ramp. They pause just for a moment, catching breath, preparing for the hardest part, the climb. On flat ground, pulling a stone is difficult, but possible. On a ramp, going upward, against gravity, it becomes much harder, much slower, much more exhausting. Other gangs are also on the ramp, above them, below them, all pulling their own stones, moving at the same slow pace, like ants on a hill, each carrying its burden, each moving toward the same goal. The overseer, stationed at the base of the ramp, waves them forward. His face is stern, but not angry. He has seen thousands of stones pulled up this ramp. He will see thousands more. This stone is nothing special, just another in an endless line. Tohodop adjusts the ropes, checks the sledge runners, makes sure everything is secure, then nods to the gang. Slowly he says, "Steady, no rushing, we have all day." And they begin to pull up the ramp. The first few steps are the hardest, getting the stone moving again after the pause, overcoming the inertia, the weight, the gravity, pulling down while they pull up. But finally, it moves, and once moving, they maintain the momentum. Pull, step, pull, step, the same rhythm, but harder now, more strained. The ramp rises before them, seeming endless, though they know how far it goes. They have climbed it hundreds of times. The surface of the ramp is packed earth mixed with sand. Other gangs pour water on the ramp to make the sand slicker, easier for sledges to slide. The moisture helps, makes the pulling slightly easier, though still exhausting. Khufu pulls his section of rope, cutting into his calloused hands, hands that have pulled ropes for years, until the skin is tough as leather. But even tough skin can hurt, can bleed, if the work goes on long enough. They pass another gang coming down, their sledge empty now, their stone delivered. They look as tired as Khufu's gang will look hours from now, when their own stone is finally in place. The men nod to each other in passing. Fellow workers fellow sufferers, all part of the same massive undertaking. Higher they climb, the pyramid growing beside them, its massive stones already in place, fitted so precisely that a knife blade cannot slip between them. This precision, this skill, this care, this is what makes the pyramid not just large, but perfect, eternal. But such perfection takes time, takes effort, takes thousands of men pulling day after day, week after week, year after year. Finally, after what seems like forever, but is really, perhaps, an hour, maybe less, they reach their destination, a spot on the north face, where the next stone must be placed. Here, other workers wait, the setters, the masons, the skilled craftsmen, who will guide the stone into its precise position. Khufu's gang pulls the sledge into place, then stops. Their job for this stone is done. The masons will take over, using levers and skill and patience to move the stone, those final inches, into perfect position. The gang releases the ropes, steps back, every man breathing hard, sweating heavily, exhausted, but satisfied. One stone delivered, one small part of the great work complete. Now they must go back down the ramp and do it all over again, with the next stone and the next and the next, until sunset, until the workday ends, until they can finally go home, to rest, to eat, to sleep. But that is still hours away. For now, they simply turn and begin the walk back down, to begin again, as they always do, as they always will. Khufu and his gang have moved 4 stones, 4 massive blocks, from the river landing, up the ramp, to the north face. 4 stones, in 4 hours, perhaps 5. Each stone takes time, so much time. The pulling, the climbing, the careful placement, then the long walk back, down the ramp, across to the river, to collect the next stone and begin again. The sun grows hotter with each passing hour. What was cool at dawn is now warm. What was warm is now hot, and still the heat grows. Sweat pours from every man, soaking their kilts, dripping from their faces, into their eyes, stinging, blinding, but there is no time to wipe it away. The rope must be held, the stone must be moved, the work must continue. Khufu's hands are aching now. The rope has rubbed them raw, despite the calluses, despite years of this same work. The palms are burning. Soon they will bleed, as they often do. By day's end, his shoulders hurt, a deep ache that never quite goes away, even at night, even lying on his sleeping mat. The ache remains a constant reminder of the weight he pulls day after day. His legs are tired. The climbing up and down the ramp all morning long has exhausted them. They feel heavy, like stone themselves. Each step requires effort, conscious thought, pushing forward against the desire to simply stop, to sit, to rest. But he cannot stop. Not yet. Not until the signal comes. The fifth stone of the morning is particularly difficult. It seems heavier than the others, though they are all roughly the same. But this one resists more stubbornly. The sledge keeps catching on the irregularities in the ramp. The rope keeps slipping, and sweaty hands pull, step, pull, step. The rhythm continues, but slower now, more labored. The men are tiring, all of them, not just Khufu, but every man in the gang. Their breathing comes harder, their movements more strained. Finally, after what seems like hours, they reach the top. The masons wait. The stone is guided into place. The gang releases the ropes and stands, swaying slightly with exhaustion. One man, the youngest, sinks down, sitting heavily on the stone. He is new, only a few weeks on the pyramid. His body is not yet accustomed to the work. He looks pale, despite the sun, despite the heat. Tohodop, the gang leader, walks over, places a hand on the young man's shoulder. First time is always hardest, he says. His voice is not unkind. It gets easier. Your body learns. Give it time. The young man nods weakly, too tired to speak. Khufu remembers his own first days. 3 years ago, when every muscle screamed with pain, when he thought he could not possibly do this work for even one more day, let alone years. But the body adapts. Slowly, painfully, but it adapts. The muscles grow stronger. The pain becomes familiar, becomes normal, becomes just part of existence. They begin the descent back down the ramp to retrieve the sixth stone. But as they walk, a sound carries across the pyramid site, a deep horn blown by an overseer, the signal they have been waiting for. Midday rest has arrived. The relief is immediate. The tension in every body releases. Men everywhere stop working, set down their tools, their ropes, their burdens, and begin to move toward the shade, toward rest, toward relief from the burning sun. There are several rest areas around the pyramid site, simple structures built of red matting stretched over wooden frames. They provide blessed shade from the fierce midday sun. Khufu's gang moves together toward the nearest shade structure. Their steps are slow, tired, but also eager. Rest is coming. Food is coming. Relief is coming. Under the shade, the temperature is still hot, but bearable. The red matting blocks the direct sunlight, creating a space where men can actually breathe without feeling they might suffocate in the heat. The gang sits down on the packed earth. Some lean back against the supporting posts. Some stretch out, lying flat, eyes closed, just breathing, just being still. After hours of constant motion, constant effort, Khufu sits cross-legged, his back against a post. He closes his eyes, just for a moment. The darkness behind his eyelids is welcoming, peaceful. He could sleep right now, right here, if he allowed himself. But sleep must wait until evening, until home. For now, he must eat, must drink, must restore his strength for the afternoon still ahead. Water carriers move through the rest areas. Young boys, too young yet to pull stones, but old enough to be useful. They carry large clay jars filled with water from the canal fed by the Nile. One boy approaches Khufu's gang. He pours water into wooden cups, hands them to the waiting men. The water is warm, not cool, but wet, and that is all that matters. Khufu drinks deeply. The water soothes his throat, parched and dusty from hours in the dry air. He drinks and drinks until the cup is empty, then holds it out for more. The boy refills it. Khufu drinks again. Around him, other men are doing the same, drinking deeply, gratefully. Water is life in Egypt. Everyone knows this. Without water, there is only death, desert, nothingness. After drinking, food arrives, brought by other workers, men whose job is to prepare and distribute rations. They carry large baskets filled with bread, with onions, with garlic, sometimes dried fish, sometimes a little cheese. Each gang receives its portion, divided equally among the men, fair shares for all. No one gets more, no one gets less. All are workers, all are equal in their labor, in their exhaustion, in their hunger. Khufu receives his bread, a flat round loaf, coarse and heavy, but nourishing. He tears off a piece, puts it in his mouth, chews slowly. The bread is dry, difficult to swallow, but good, filling. He eats an onion, biting into it. Raw, the sharp taste, the strong smell are unpleasant, but onions are good food, give strength, help keep disease away. Everyone eats onions every day, raw, with every meal. The men eat in relative silence, too tired for much conversation. Just the sounds of chewing, of breathing, of bodies slowly recovering from the morning's exertion. Occasionally, someone speaks, a quiet word, a brief comment about the work, about the heat, about nothing important. Just the minimal social interaction that humans need, even when exhausted. Hot today, one man says. Always hot, another replies. Tomorrow will be the same, a third adds. And that is the extent of the conversation. Because what else is there to say? The heat is constant. The work is constant. Tomorrow will be the same as today, as yesterday, as all the days they can remember. Khufu finishes his bread, his onion. He drinks more water, then simply sits, eyes closed, resting, waiting for the rest period, to end, for a horn to sound again, calling them back to work. Around him, the sounds of hundreds of men, also resting, a low murmur of quiet voices, the rustling of people shifting, trying to find comfortable positions on the hard ground, the ever-present sound of breathing, deep and slow, the breathing of exhausted men. Some men have fallen asleep, despite the heat, despite the hardness of the ground. Exhaustion has claimed them. Their heads drooped forward or tilted back, their mouths slightly open, snoring softly. Khufu feels sleep tugging at him too. His eyelids are so heavy, his body so tired. It would be easy, so easy, to just let go, to drift into darkness, into sleep. But he resists. He knows if he sleeps now, he will feel worse when he wakes, more tired, more groggy. Better to rest, but stay aware, stay alert, until evening, until he can properly sleep. Let yourself feel this, the pull of sleep during the day, the heavy eyelids, the tired body, the desire to just give in, to rest, but not yet, not quite yet. Soon, but not yet. The rest period lasts perhaps an hour, maybe less. It is hard to tell. Time, without clocks, without precise measurement. But eventually, the horn sounds again, deep and long, echoing across the pyramid site. Time to return, to work. The men stir slowly, reluctantly, rising to their feet with groans and sighs, bodies stiff from sitting, from resting, needing to move again before they can work again. Khufu stands, his back protests, his legs feel wooden, but he moves, he stretches. He prepares himself, mentally, physically, for the afternoon ahead. The sun still blazes in the cloudless sky. The afternoon will be hot as the morning, perhaps hotter, but there is no choice. The work must continue. The pyramid must be built, and they are the ones who will build it. The gang reassembles, walks back to the ramp to continue where they left off. More stones. Wait at the river landing. More stones. must be moved up the ramp into place. The work is never done, never complete, just endless. They collect the sixth stone of the day, attach the ropes, position themselves, and begin to pull. Pull, step, pull, step. The rhythm returns, the familiar strain, in muscles, in tendons, in bones, the weight of the stone, the resistance of gravity, the endless effort required to move something so heavy, so massive, so utterly indifferent to human will. But as they pull, something happens. One of the men begins to sing, softly at first, then louder, a work song, old, traditional, a song that workers have sung for generations. The song has no real words, just sounds, rhythmic sounds, that match the pull-in, the step-in, the work. Heave, ho, heave, ho. Simple, repetitive, but effective. The song helps coordinate. The pull-in helps the men work together as one. 20 men, 20 separate wills, united by song, into a single pulling force. Other men join in, adding their voices. The song grows louder, stronger. It echoes off the stones of the pyramid, carries across the building site. Other gangs hear it. Some join in. The same song, rising from multiple places, multiple voices, all singing the same rhythm, the same ancient song. Heave, ho, heave, ho. Khufu sings too. His voice is not good, not musical. Khufu sings too. His voice is not good, not musical. But that doesn't matter. The song is not about beauty. It is about unity, about making the work bearable, about creating something shared, something communal, out of individual suffering. The stone moves more easily with the song, or perhaps it just seems that way. Perhaps the song simply makes the work feel less impossible, less endless, less soul-crushing. They reach the base of the ramp, begin the climb, still singing. The song helps here too, helps maintain the steady pace, the constant effort. Pull, step, in time, with the song, with the rhythm, with the ancient pattern of human labor. Other songs follow as the afternoon progresses, some fast, some slow, some with words about the river, about the gods, about the pharaoh, about home, about rest, about anything and everything that makes the time pass, makes the work endurable. One song is about the evening, about going home, about food and family and sleep. The men sing it with particular enthusiasm, because evening, though still hours away, will come. Eventually, it always does, no matter how long the day seems, no matter how hard The work. Evening comes, and with it, rest. When the sun sinks down to the west, when the work is finally done, we will go to our homes, to our families, to our rest. The day will be over. The work will be finished until tomorrow comes again. The song is melancholy, but also comforting, a promise that this will end, that rest will come, that home awaits at the end of every day, no matter how hard that day has been. Khufu sings and pulls and steps and climbs the stone, rising slowly up the ramp, the sun moving slowly across the sky, the afternoon passing slowly, but passing always, eventually passing stone after stone, hour after hour. The afternoon continues. 7 stones, 8 stones, 9 stones, each one the same as the last, the same weight, the same effort, the same slow progress. From river to ramp to pyramid, the sun begins its descent, but so slowly, so very slowly, it seems to hang in the western sky, motionless, eternal. The heat remains oppressive. The work remains exhausting. Khufu's body has passed beyond tiredness into a state of numbness. His hands hold the rope automatically. His feet move without thought. His mind has almost shut down, going somewhere else, somewhere far away, while his body continues working, like a machine, like something not quite human, just a thing that pulls, that steps, that endures. This is common among the workers, this state of being both present and absent, the body here, the mind elsewhere. It is a survival mechanism, a way to endure what would otherwise be unendurable. Some men think of home, of their wives, their children, the meal that waits at day's end, the sleeping mat that promises rest. Some men think of nothing, just emptiness, just the rhythm of the work. Pull, step, nothing more, nothing else, just that. Some men pray silently to the gods, to Ta, the creator, to Osiris, the god of the afterlife, asking for strength, asking for endurance, asking for the day to end. Khufu thinks of water, cool water, from a jar, just brought from the well. He imagines lifting a cup to his lips, feeling the water, cool and clean, flowing down his parched throat. It is just imagination, but it helps, somehow, to think of it, to hold the image in his mind. The 10th stone reaches the top, is guided into place. The gang turns, begins the descent. For the 11th, the sun is lower now, noticeably lower. Perhaps 2 hours until sunset. Perhaps 3. Hard to say, but definitely lower than before. The day is moving toward its end. This knowledge gives strength, strange, but true. Knowing that the end is approaching makes it easier to continue. If the day were truly endless, if there were no end in sight, it would be impossible to go on. But knowing that evening will come, that rest is approaching, makes it possible to take one more step, to pull one more time, to endure a little longer. The 11th stone moves up the ramp, the 12th, the 13th, each one bringing them closer to the end of the day. Finally, when the sun is perhaps 2 hand widths above the horizon, the horn sounds, not the long blast of midday rest, but 3 short blasts, the signal that the workday is ending. The relief is enormous, overwhelming. Men everywhere stop, wherever they are, whatever they are doing. They stop, and for a moment, just stand, breathing, letting the news sink in. It is over. For today, it is done. Khufu's gang releases their ropes. The 14th stone of the day will wait until tomorrow. For now, they are done, finished, free to go home. The walk back to the village is slow. The men are exhausted, beyond exhausted. Their feet shuffle rather than walk. Their shoulders slump. Their heads hang down. They look like defeated soldiers stumbling from a battlefield. But they are not defeated. They are victorious. They have survived another day. They have moved 14 stones, 14 pieces of the Great Pyramid. They have done their part in building eternity, and now they can rest. The village appears ahead, simple mud brick houses, but to the workers returning from the pyramid site, it looks beautiful, welcoming, hung. Smoke rises from cooking fires. The smell of baking bread drifts on the evening air. Somewhere, a child laughs. The sound, bright and clear, in the gathering dusk. Khufu parts from his gang, each man going to his own house, his own family, his own small portion of rest and peace. He walks slowly to his door, pushes aside the red mat that hangs in the doorway, steps inside into the cool dimness of his home. Nefret is there. She looks up from where she sits, grinding grain between 2 stones. She smiles, small and tired. She too has worked all day in her own way, cooking, cleaning, caring for children, making clothing, all the endless tasks that fill a woman's day. You are home, she says, simply, quietly. I am home, he replies. The children run to him. Little Hinat wraps her arms around his leg. Kanti stands nearby, grinning. Even baby Seneb toddles over, arms outstretched, wanting to be picked up. But Khufu cannot pick him up. Not yet. His arms are too tired, too weak. He pats the baby's head, musses Kenti's hair, runs his hand gently over Hinat's head, but he cannot do more. Not now. Give your father space, Nefret says, shooing the children gently away. He is tired. Let him rest. Khufu sits down on a mat in the main room. He closes his eyes just for a moment, just to rest them. The relief of sitting, of not moving, of not pulling is almost painful in its intensity. Nefret brings water. He drinks, brings bread and onions. He eats slowly, mechanically. His body needs food, but he is too tired to really taste it. The children are told to be quiet, to play elsewhere, to let their father rest. They obey, more or less, their voices still audible, but softer, more distant, as they move to the courtyard. Khufu sits and eats and drinks and slowly, very slowly, feels his body beginning to relax, beginning to recover. The worst of the pain fading to a dull ache that will remain until morning, when it all begins again. But for now, he does not think of tomorrow. He thinks only of now, of rest, of home, of the gathering darkness. Outside, the sun has set. The sky is deep blue, fading to purple, then black. Stars begin to appear, one by one, then dozens, then hundreds. The Egyptian sky, so clear, so free of clouds, shows the stars in all their glory, ancient, eternal, unchanging. Soon, the children are brought in, put to bed, their small bodies settling onto their sleeping mats, their voices growing quiet, then silent, as sleep claims them, quickly, easily, the way children always sleep. Nefret and Khufu sit together in the darkness, too tired for conversation, just sitting in comfortable silence, the silence of two people who have lived together long enough that words are not always necessary. Finally, Khufu stands, moves to the sleeping room, lies down on his mat, the mat that has held him every night for years, familiar, comfortable, home. Nefret lies beside him, her breathing already slowing towards sleep, and Khufu closes his eyes and feels the weight of the day finally lifting, floating away into darkness, into peace, into sleep. The stars turn slowly overhead. The Nile flows silently past. The pyramid stands silent and dark against the night sky, growing stone by stone, day by day, year by year, toward completion. But Khufu knows nothing of this. He is asleep, deeply, dreamlessly, until dawn, when it all will begin again. Khufu uses these rest days carefully. There is always so much to be done. The house needs constant repair. Mud brick crumbles and must be replaced. The roof develops leaks during the rare rains and must be patched. Tools wear out and must be mended or replaced. On this particular rest day, Khufu is repairing a corner of his house where the mud brick has eroded. He mixes new mud with straw and water. The mixture is thick and sticky. He packs it into the gap, smoothing it with his hands. The work is simple, repetitive, almost meditative, so different from the brutal labor of the pyramid. His son, Kanti, helps him, bringing water, mixing straw, learning by watching. This too is important. A boy must learn the skills he will need as a man. Must learn by doing, by repetition, by slow, patient practice. Like this? Kenny asks, holding up a handful of mud mixture. A little more straw, Khufu says. Mix it until it holds together but is still workable. The boy adds more straw, mixes again, his small hands, working the mud, learning the feel of it, when it is right, when it needs more water or more straw. These are things that cannot be taught with words alone. They must be felt, known, through the hands. Nearby, other men are also working on their own houses, their own repairs. The village is full of small sounds, of hammering, of scraping, of voices, calling back and forth, asking to borrow a tool, commenting on the work, sharing information about technique, about materials. This is community. This is how humans live, not in isolation, but together, helping, sharing, learning from one another, generation after generation, passing down the knowledge, the skills, the patterns that allow survival. The morning passes slowly, peacefully. The work is not hard, not compared to the pyramid. This is almost restful, almost enjoyable. The satisfaction of fixing something, of making something better with one's own hands. By midday, the corner is repaired, the mud packed firmly into place. It will need several days to dry fully, but already it looks better. Already the house is stronger, will last a little longer before the next repair is needed. Good work, Khufu says to his son. You are learning. You will be a good builder someday. Kanti beams with pride. His father's approval is everything to a boy. The highest praise, the greatest reward. They clean up, washing the mud from their hands in a jar of water. The water turns brown, murky, with dissolved mud, but hands come clean, eventually ready for the next task, the next meal, the next whatever comes next. In the afternoon of the rest day, many villagers walk to the market area near the pyramid site, where vendors set up stalls, selling goods, trading goods, bartering for what they need. Khufu goes with Nefret and the children. It is an outing, a break from routine, a chance to see what is available, to trade some of their rations for other goods they might need or want. The market is not large, not like the great markets in Memphis, the capital, but it serves the needs of the pyramid workers and the nearby villages. There are stalls selling vegetables, onions, leeks, lettuce, cucumbers, garlic. The produce sits in baskets or spread on mats on the ground. Flies buzz around, landing, taking off, landing again. The vendors wave them away, constantly, uselessly. The flies always return. There are stalls with dried fish from the Nile. The fish are salted or smoked to preserve them. They smell strong, not entirely pleasant, but fish is good food, full of nutrition, worth buying, despite the smell. There are stalls with pottery, clay jars, and bowls, and cups. Simple, functional, not decorated, but well made. Sturdy, the potter sits behind his wares, turning a small bowl on his wheel, his hands moving automatically, shaping the clay while he watches the customers, calls out his prices. There are stalls with linen cloth woven by village women during the long hours of each day. The cloth is coarse but serviceable, good for kilts, for dresses, for wrapping around the body at night when the desert grows cold. Nefret examines the cloth, feeling it between her fingers, testing the weave, the strength she is looking for. Enough cloth to make a new kilt for Kenti, who is growing out of his current one. She haggles with the cloth seller, a woman about her own age. They discuss the quality, the amount needed, the price, not in money. Egypt has no coins, but in trade, so many onions for so much cloth, or perhaps some dried fish, or a jar of beer. The haggling takes time. Each woman states her position, makes her argument. Gradually, they move toward agreement. This is expected, normal, part of the ritual of buying and selling. No one expects the first price offered to be accepted. That would be unusual, almost insulting. Finally, they agree. 3 large onions and a small bundle of dried fish for enough cloth to make a boy's kilt. The exchange is made. Both women seem satisfied. Neither has won, neither has lost. The trade is fair, equitable, as it should be. Khufu, meanwhile, has found a man selling tools. He needs a new chisel for working soft stone. His current chisel is worn, almost useless. A new one would be very helpful. But tools are expensive, valuable. The tool seller wants a lot in trade, more than Khufu has to offer. They discuss, they negotiate, but cannot reach agreement. Khufu will have to continue using his worn chisel. For now, perhaps next market day, he will have enough to trade, but not today. This is normal too. Not every market visit results in a purchase. Sometimes you look, you consider, but you wait for another time when you have more, when the price is better, when the need is more urgent. The children are restless. They want to explore, to see everything. Little Hinat pulls at her mother's hand. Can we look at the beads? She asks. Please. There is a vendor selling beads made from faience, a blue-green glazed ceramic. The beads are beautiful, catching the light, sparkling, promising beauty, adornment, something more than the bare functionality of daily life. Nefret smiles, takes her daughter's hand. We can look, she says, but only look. We have no need for beads today. They walk to the bead seller. Hinat stares at the beads, her eyes wide, enchanted by the beauty, the color, the shine. She reaches out, wanting to touch, but her mother gently pulls her hand back. Only with eyes, Nefret says softly, not with hands. This too is a lesson a child must learn. To look without touching, to admire without possessing, to understand that not everything beautiful can be yours. This is an important lesson, one that must be learned early and remembered always. The market continues. Around them, people talking, trading, examining goods, children running between the stalls, playing, laughing, the sounds of normal life, of community, of humanity, gathered together for commerce, for connection, for the simple pleasure of being among others. Eventually, the sun begins to lower. The market starts to close. Vendors pack up their unsold goods. Customers head home with their purchases. The day is ending, as all days must end. In return to home, to rest, to the quiet of evening, Khufu's family walks back to their house. Nefret carries the cloth carefully, already planning in her mind how she will cut it, how she will sew it into a kilt. For Kenti, the children walk ahead, tired now from the excitement, ready for supper and bed. It has been a good day, a restful day, different from the pyramid, from the endless stone pulling. Tomorrow, the work will resume, but today was theirs, a small gift of time, of rest, of normalcy. Let us turn our attention now away from Khufu for a moment and look at other workers on the pyramid, the masons, the skilled craftsmen who do different work than the laborers who pull stones. The masons are elite workers. They do not pull heavy stones all day. Instead, they work with smaller tools, with precision, with skill, shaping stones, fitting stones, creating the perfect joints that make the pyramid not just large, but perfect. There is a master mason named Seneb, the same name as Khufu's youngest child. But this Seneb is old, perhaps 50 years, ancient by Egyptian standards. His hands are gnarled, but still steady, still skilled, still capable of extraordinary precision. Seneb stands now before a stone that has just been delivered by men like Khufu. The stone is roughly rectangular, but not perfect. Its surfaces are uneven, its corners not quite square. This is normal, expected. The stones come from the quarry in rough form. It is the mason's job to perfect them. Seneb runs his hand over the stone, feeling it, understanding it, through touch, through long experience. He can feel where the stone must be shaped, where material must be removed to make it fit precisely with the stones around it. He picks up a copper chisel, not the large, heavy chisels used in quarries, but a smaller, finer tool for detailed work. He places it against the stone at just the right angle, then strikes it with a wooden mallet, not hard, just firmly, precisely. A small chip of limestone falls away. He moves the chisel slightly, strikes again. Another chip falls. He continues, moving along the edge of the stone, removing tiny amounts, gradually, patiently, shaping the surface. This is slow work, much slower than pulling stones, but it requires different skills, different knowledge. A mason must understand. Stone must know how it breaks, how it chips, where it is weak, where it is strong. This knowledge comes only with years, with decades of practice. Besides Seneb, younger masons also work. They are learning from him, watching how he holds the chisel, the angle he uses, the strength of his strikes, learning through observation, through imitation, through their own gradual development of skill. One young mason, named Amenhotep, is shaping the corner of a stone. He works carefully, trying to remember everything Seneb has taught him. But he is still learning, still making mistakes. The corner is not quite right, not quite perfect. Seneb walks over, examines the work, says nothing for a long moment, then picks up a chisel, shows Amenhotep the correct angle, strikes once, twice, the corner, improves, becomes more precise. Feel the stone, Seneb says. Do not fight it. Work with it. Let it tell you where to cut, where to chip. Listen to the stone. Amenhotep nods, takes the chisel, tries again. This time, better, not perfect, but better. He is learning, slowly, as all apprentices must learn, through practice, through failure, through gradual improvement. This is how skills are passed down, from master to apprentice, from generation to generation, not through written instructions. Egypt has writing, but it is used for records, for sacred texts, not for technical knowledge that is passed orally, practically, through demonstration and practice. The masons work all day, but their day is different from Khufu's. They do not pull until exhausted. They work steadily, but with breaks, with rest. Their work requires focus. Concentration cannot be done when utterly fatigued, so they pace themselves. Work, rest, work, rest, maintaining the ability to see clearly, to judge accurately, to cut precisely. By the end of the day, Seneb has shaped, perhaps, 5 stones, maybe 6, not many, but each one is perfect, will fit exactly into its place, will remain there for thousands of years. This is the mason's craft. Quality over quantity, precision over speed, perfection over mere effort. As the sun sets, the masons put down their tools carefully. Tools are valuable, must be cared for, sharpened regularly, stored properly. A mason's tools are his livelihood, his connection to his craft. They are almost sacred, treated with respect, with care. They leave the pyramid site, walking back to the village, but their walk is different. From the labors, they are tired, but not exhausted, thoughtful, but not drained. They talk among themselves, discussing the day's work, the stones they shaped, the problems they encountered, the solutions they found. This is a different life than Khufu's, still difficult, still demanding, but different, requiring different strengths, different endurance. The endurance of patience, of precision, of maintaining clarity of mind over long hours of detailed work. Both are necessary for the pyramid. The laborers who move the massive stones, and the masons who shape them, who fit them, who create the perfection that will last millennia. Together, they build something impossible, something eternal. once a month, perhaps, or perhaps less. The exact timing is irregular. A priest comes to the pyramid site to perform ceremonies, to bless the work, to ensure that the gods look favorably upon the construction. The priest arrives in the morning, accompanied by lesser clergy, by attendants carrying sacred objects, incense, offerings, the tools of ritual. The workers are told to gather in a large area near the base of the pyramid. They come reluctantly, not because they are irreligious, but because stopping work means the work falls behind and will have to be made up later. But the overseer insists, the priest insists, this is important, essential. The favor of the gods must be maintained. The pyramid is not just a tomb, it is a sacred structure, a connection between earth and heaven, between human and divine. The rituals must be performed properly, regularly. Khufu stands with his gang among hundreds of other workers, all waiting for the ceremony to begin. The sun already hot, they stand in the open, no shade, sweat beginning already, though the day has barely started. The priest is a tall man, thin. His head is shaved completely, as is required for priests. He wears a clean white kilt, finer than the workers' kilts, and over his shoulders a leopard skin, symbol of his priestly office. He raises his arms and begins to chant in the sacred language, the ancient words that connect this moment to all the moments that came before, to the beginning of time itself, when the gods created the world. The words are half understood by the workers. The language of ritual is archaic, formal, not quite the language they speak every day, but they catch enough words to follow the general meaning. The priest calls upon Ra, the sun god, to bless this work, to shine his favor upon the pyramid and all who build it. He calls upon Osiris, god of the dead, god of resurrection, for whom the pyramid is ultimately built, a house for the eternal, a place for the pharaoh's soul to dwell forever. He calls upon Ta, the creator god, god of craftsmen, god of builders, to guide the hands of the workers, to ensure that their work is good, is true, is pleasing to the divine. The incense burns, sending up thick smoke, sweet smelling, rising into the morning air, carrying the prayers upward to the gods who dwell in the sky, in the heavens, beyond human reach. The workers stand quietly, respectfully, listening, even if they do not fully understand, even if their minds wander to the work that waits, to the stones that must be moved. Still, they stand, they listen, they participate, as they must, as is required. The ceremony continues for perhaps half an hour, perhaps longer. It is hard to judge. Time seems different during ritual, slower or faster, or simply not quite normal. Finally, the priest concludes. He makes a final gesture, blessing the workers, the pyramid, the land itself, then turns and processes away, his attendants following, carrying the sacred objects back to wherever they came from, back to the temples of the gods. The workers are dismissed. Return to your work, the overseer calls, and they disperse back to their various tasks, their gangs, their stones, their ropes. The ritual is over. The work continues, as it always must continue, until the pyramid is complete. Khufu returns with his gang to the river landing to collect their next stone. The morning already partially gone. They will have to work a little faster to make up for lost time. But that is normal, expected, part of the rhythm of working on something this large, this sacred, this important. The blessing lingers in his mind, though in a vague way, the words already fading into memory, into the general sense that what they do is blessed, is watched over by powers greater than human, that all will be well if they continue to work, to endure, to build, stone upon stone, day after day, until it is done. Days continue in their rhythm: work, rest, work, sleep. The pattern repeats endlessly, but within this pattern, there are moments, small moments, of connection, of conversation, of humanity expressing itself in simple ways. One evening, after work, after the evening meal, Khufu sits in his courtyard. The children are asleep. Nefret sits beside him. They are quiet for a while, just sitting in the gathering darkness, watching the first stars appear. "Are you tired?" Nefret asks. Softly. "Always tired," Khufu replies, with a slight smile, but no more than usual. "The pyramid grows larger," she observes. "Even I can see from the village it rises higher than before." "Yes," he says slowly, "but it grows, perhaps. In a few more years it will be complete." "And then, what?" she asks. "What will you do when the pyramid is finished?" This is a question that Khufu has thought about, sometimes in idle moments. What comes after the pyramid? Will there be another pyramid? Another pharaoh? Another monument? Or will he return to farming? To some other trade? He does not know. Cannot know. The future is uncertain. Always. I do not know, he says honestly. Perhaps another pyramid, perhaps something else. The pharaoh will decide, and we will do what we are told, as we always have. Nefret nods. This is the nature of their lives. They do not choose their destinies. They do not shape their futures. They simply continue, day by day, doing what must be done, what is required, what is their lot in life. The children are growing, she says. Changing the subject, Kanti is almost a young man. Soon he will work on the pyramid with you. Perhaps, Khufu says. Though, the thought fills him with mixed feelings. Pride that his son will contribute to the great work, but also sadness that the boy will know the same exhaustion, the same pain that Khufu knows so well. Hinat asks about the gods. Nefret continues. She asks me to tell her stories about Ra, about Isis, about Hathor. I tell her what I remember from my own mother, but I am not a priest. I do not know all the stories. Tell her what you know, Khufu says. The stories are important. They connect us to the past, to our ancestors, to the gods, even if we do not know every detail, every variation. What matters is that we remember, that we pass on what we know to the next generation. They sit in comfortable silence for a while longer. The stars multiply overhead, the familiar constellations appearing one by one, the same stars that have watched over Egypt for thousands of years, the same stars that will watch for thousands more, long after Khufu and Nefret, and all they know, have returned to dust. But in this moment, they do not think of death, of endings. They think only of now, of sitting together in the cool evening, after another day, survived, another day, completed, another small piece of their lives, lived. I should sleep, Khufu finally says. Tomorrow comes early, as always. Yes, Nefret agrees. Sleep well, rest deeply. They stand, move inside, to the sleeping room, lie down on their familiar mats. The house grows quiet. The village grows quiet. The world settles into night, into darkness, into rest, and Khufu closes his eyes, feels sleep rising around him, like the Nile's flood, inevitable, necessary, welcome. He surrenders to it, letting go of the day, of the work, of all thought, all worry, all awareness, sinking down, into deep, dreamless sleep. In Egypt, there are 3 seasons, not 4, as in other lands, but 3, each defined by the river, by the Nile, which is the source of all life, all prosperity, all survival. The first season is Akhet, the inundation, when the Nile floods its banks, covering the fields with water, with rich silt, This season lasts from July to November in modern terms, though the Egyptians do not use these names. During Akhet, the farmers cannot farm. Their fields are underwater, so they come to the pyramid to fulfill their labor obligation to their pharaoh. This is when the workforce swells, when thousands upon thousands of additional workers arrive from all over Egypt to pull stones to build the eternal monument. Khufu has seen 4 inundations since he began working on the pyramid. 4 times he has watched the river rise, the fields disappear beneath brown water. 4 times he has seen the workforce double, triple, the pyramid site becoming a sea of humanity, all laboring toward the same impossible goal. The second season is Peret, the growing season, when the flood recedes, when the fields emerge once more, black with silt, ready for planting. This season lasts from November to March. During Peret, many workers return to their fields to plant barley, emmer wheat, flax, the crops that sustain Egypt. The permanent workers, like Khufu, remain. The work continues, but at a slower pace, with fewer men, fewer stones moved each day. The third season is Shemu, the harvest season, when the crops ripen, when they must be gathered before the heat destroys them. This season lasts from March to July. During Shemu, even more workers return to the fields. The harvest is crucial, more important even than the pyramid. Without the harvests, there is no food. Without food, there is nothing. The work on the pyramid slows even more, to a minimum, just enough to maintain progress, to not lose what has been accomplished. And then Akhet returns. The cycle begins again. Flood, growth, harvest, flood, growth, harvest. Year after year, the same pattern, the same rhythm, eternal, unchanging, like the Nile itself, like the sun, like the stars. Khufu has learned to recognize the signs of each season, the feel of the air, the height of the sun, the behavior of birds, the color of the river. These signs tell him where he is in the cycle, what is coming, what will happen next. It is late Shemu now. In our story, the harvest season, nearing its end. The fields are mostly bare. The grain has been gathered, stored in granaries. The air is hot, dry, dusty. Soon, very soon, the inundation will begin. The Nile will rise, and the cycle will turn once more. There are signs that the flood is approaching, subtle signs that most people would miss. But the Egyptians, who have lived by the river for thousands of years, know how to read them. The river begins to change color, becoming slightly greener. The water level starts to rise, just barely, imperceptibly, at first, but rising nonetheless. The priests watch the sky to the south, toward Nubia, toward the source of the Nile. They watch for the star, Sirius, called Soptit in Egyptian, when Sirius rises just before dawn in the eastern sky after being invisible for many weeks. This signals that the flood is coming soon, very soon. This year, the rising of Sirius has been observed. The priests have announced it in the temples. The word spreads through the villages, through the towns. The inundation is coming. Prepare yourselves for Khufu. This means the work will change, will intensify. More workers will arrive. The pyramid site will become even more crowded, even more chaotic, but also more productive. More stones will be moved. Each day, the pyramid will grow faster for a few months before the workers return home once more. But for now, before the flood arrives, there is a kind of quiet awaiting. The fields are harvested. The work continues. But everyone knows that change is coming, that the rhythm is about to shift once more. Nefret is busy preparing for the flood season. She checks their food stores, counting the grain, the dried fish, the onions, making sure they have enough to last through the coming months. She repairs their clothing, mending tears, reinforcing weak seams, making sure everything is in good order before the busy season begins. Kanti, now almost 11, talks excitedly about the flood, about seeing the water rise, about watching the river transform from a narrow channel into a vast inland sea. Children find the flood exciting. Adults see it differently, as a necessary but disruptive force that must be endured, managed, survived. One evening, Khufu walks to the edge of the village, to a place where he can see the Nile in the distance. The sun is setting. The sky is painted in shades of orange and pink and deep purple. The river reflects the colors like a mirror, beautiful, peaceful, soon to be transformed. He stands, watching, thinking about nothing in particular, just watching the light fade, the colors deepen, the stars begin to appear, one by one, in the darkening sky. This is a rare moment of stillness, of pause, of simply being, without work, without obligation, without anything that must be done, just standing, watching, existing. How long has he been working on the pyramid? 4 years now, perhaps 5. The time blurs together. 1 year, much like another. Hard to distinguish, hard to remember what happened when it all flows together into one continuous experience of pulling and climbing and enduring. How much longer will it take? 10 more years, perhaps 15, perhaps 20. No one knows exactly. The pharaoh will decide. The architects will plan, but the workers just continue day by day, stone by stone, until someone tells them it is finished. And then, what will he be? Old by then? Too old to work? Or will he die first? Here, on the pyramid, or in his sleep, one night, like so many others who have worked and died before the great work was complete. These thoughts come sometimes, unbidden, unwelcome, but they come and must be acknowledged before they can be pushed aside back into the shadows where such thoughts belong. The stars are out now, fully visible. The sky, a vast dome of darkness, studded with points of light. The same sky that has watched over Egypt since the beginning, since the gods first made the world. Khufu turns, walks back to the village, to his house, to his family, to the familiar, comforting, simple routines that make up a life, that give meaning to existence, even when that existence seems endless, difficult, unchanging. One morning, Khufu wakes and knows immediately that something has changed. The air feels different, smells different, wetter, fuller. The flood has begun. He rises, goes to the courtyard, looks toward the river, though he cannot see it from here. But he knows it has risen significantly. Overnight, the fields are filling with water. The inundation has arrived within days. The change is visible, even from the village. The land between the village and the river, which is normally dry, brown, cracked, is now covered with water, brown water, rich with silt, spreading out like a vast, shallow lake. The Nile has become not a river, but an inland sea, stretching as far as the eye can see, to the east, to the west. Only the highest ground remains dry. The villages built on slight rises, the roads, the pathways, islands now in a sea of brown water. This is normal, expected, but still impressive, still a reminder of the power of the river, of nature, of forces far beyond human control. The children are excited. They run to the edge of the water, watching it lap against the dry land. They throw stones into it, watching the splashes, the ripples, spreading outward. Kanti wants to wade into the water, but Nefret forbids it. The current is still strong, she warns. You could be swept away, drowned, before anyone could save you. Stay on land, watch from here, but do not enter the water. The boy protests, but obeys. He knows his mother's right. Every year, children drown in the flood waters, thinking them safe, shallow, but the current is deceptive, stronger than it appears, dangerous, even deadly. At the pyramid site, the change is even more dramatic. Hundreds of new workers arrive every day. Farmers from the Delta, from Upper Egypt, from every nome, every province. They come to fulfill their obligation, to work for the pharaoh during the months when they cannot work their fields. The pyramid site becomes a vast camp. Thousands of men living in temporary shelters, waiting for their assignments, their gangs, their tasks. The noise is constant. Voices shouting, calling, laughing, arguing. The sound of thousands of humans pressed together in one place. Khufu watches the new arrivals. They look much like him. Ordinary men, farmers, laborers, come to pull stones for a season before returning to their homes, their fields, their normal lives. Some are young, strong, eager, ready to prove themselves, ready to contribute to the great work. Others are older, resigned, knowing what awaits them, knowing the exhaustion, the pain, but accepting it as their duty. Khufu's gang remains the same. The permanent workers stay together. They are the core, the experienced ones who train, the seasonal workers who show them what to do, how to do it, how to survive. The work, more stones, are moved now, with more men available. The pyramid grows faster, visibly faster. Each day, new courses of stone are added. The structure rises toward the sky, toward its eventual completion. But for Khufu, the work remains the same. Pull, step, day after day. The only difference is that now there are more people doing the same thing. More ropes, more stones, more sweat, more exhaustion. But fundamentally, the same work, the same endless, repetitive labor. The days begin to blur again, one much like another. The heat is intense. The work is hard, but this is normal. This is Akhet. This is the inundation season. This is life. During the inundation season, there are festivals, religious celebrations that break the monotony of work. The most important is the festival of Akhet, when the statue of the god Ammon is carried from Karnak to Luxor in a great procession. But here, at Giza, near Memphis, the festival is celebrated differently, more simply, but still with ceremony, with ritual, with a break from normal routine. The workers are given a day of rest, a full day, to celebrate, to honor the gods, to remind themselves that they are more than just laborers. They are Egyptians, part of an ancient civilization, connected to the divine through ritual, through prayer, through participation in sacred ceremonies. In the morning, a procession comes from Memphis, priests carrying sacred objects, statues of gods, offerings of food and drink and incense. They come to the pyramid site to bless the work, to honor the gods, to celebrate the power of Egypt, the greatness of the pharaoh, the importance of the pyramid. The workers gather to watch thousands of men standing in the morning sun, watching the procession approach. The priests, in their white linen robes, their leopard skins, their sacred regalia, walking slowly, solemnly, chanting ancient words in voices that carry across the plateau. The statue of Ptah, god of craftsmen, god of builders, is carried at the front of the procession. The statue is gilded, gleaming in the sunlight, its face serene, eternal, unchanged by the passage of years, of centuries, of millennia. Behind Ptah come statues of other gods. Sekhmet, the fierce goddess, Nefertum, the god of perfume and beauty, others whose names Khufu does not know, does not remember, but he watches, respectfully bowing his head when the priests pass close, murmuring prayers. Under his breath, the procession circles the pyramid 3 times, blessing each side, each corner, each stone. The incense rises in thick clouds. The chanting continues, rhythmic, hypnotic, drawing the mind away from the ordinary into the realm of the sacred. After the procession, there is a ceremony. A priest gives a speech, praising the pharaoh, praising the workers, praising the gods who make all things possible. Then offerings are made, bread and beer are distributed to the workers, more than their usual rations. Special bread baked for the festival, special beer brewed for this occasion. The workers receive their portions, gratefully eating, drinking, celebrating this brief respite from labor. Khufu sits with his gang. They eat in companionable silence. The bread is good, better than the usual bread, softer, made from finer flour. The beer is strong, makes him feel light, almost happy, for the moment. Around him, other workers are laughing, talking. Some are singing old songs, festival songs, songs their grandfathers sang, songs that have been sung since time immemorial. Children run between the groups of workers, playing, chasing each other, their laughter high and bright, a sound that makes even tired men smile. For this one day, the burden lifts. For this one day, they are not just laborers, they are participants in something greater, something sacred, something that connects them to their ancestors, to their gods, to the eternal pattern of Egyptian life. But the day passes, as all days must pass. The sun moves across the sky. The afternoon fades into evening, and eventually the festival ends. The priests depart. The workers return to their homes or their camps. The normal routine will resume tomorrow, but for tonight, there is rest, there is satisfaction, there is a sense of having participated in something important. Khufu walks home with his family, Nefret beside him, the children, tired but happy, running ahead, then dropping back, then running ahead again, full of restless energy from the day's excitement. It was a good festival, Nefret says. Softly. Yes, Khufu agrees, a good festival, the gods were honored, that is important. They walk in comfortable silence, the sun setting behind them, painting the sky in familiar colors, orange, pink, purple, the same colors that have marked Egyptian sunsets since the beginning of time. At home, the evening meal is simple. After the festival feast, no one is very hungry, but they eat a little, drink some water, then settle for the night. The children fall asleep almost immediately, exhausted by the day's excitement. Khufu lies down on his sleeping mat, closes his eyes, and feels the familiar pull of sleep pulling him down, down, into darkness, into rest, into the place where all eventually must go, where the day's burdens fall away, where there is only peace, only quiet, only sleep. Weeks pass into months. The flood season continues. The pyramid grows, slowly but surely, rising toward its final height. Khufu marks time, not by days, but by changes. He notices, in the world around him, the level of the flood water slowly rising, then holding steady, then beginning to recede. These changes tell him where he is in the season, in the cycle. He notices changes in himself, too. He is not as young as he once was, not as strong. The work takes more out of him. Each day, the recovery takes longer. The aches last longer, stay deeper. His hands are more damaged than they were. The calluses are thicker, but also more cracked, more prone to splitting, to bleeding. He must bind them with strips of linen to protect them, to allow them to continue working. His back hurts constantly now, a deep ache that never quite goes away. Even sleep brings only partial relief. By morning, the pain has diminished, but not disappeared. It never fully disappears anymore. He is getting old, or what passes for old. In Egypt, he is perhaps 30 years of age, maybe 35. In modern terms, not old, but by the standards of his time, of his place, he is well into middle age, past his prime, moving toward whatever comes after. Kanti, his son, is growing rapidly, shooting up like a young papyrus. The boy is almost as tall as his father. Now, his voice is beginning to deepen, to change. He is becoming a man, no longer a child. Soon, very soon, Kanti will join. The workers will begin pulling stones alongside his father. This is inevitable, expected. The boy must learn to work, must contribute to the family, must become what his father is: a worker, a builder, a man who endures. Khufu feels mixed emotions about this: pride that his son will join the great work, but also sadness that the boy will know the same pain, the same exhaustion that has defined Khufu's own life. But there is no choice. This is how things are, how they have always been, how they will always be. Sons follow fathers into the work, into the pattern, into the endless repetition of labor and survival. Little Hinat is also growing, becoming a young woman. She helps her mother more and more, learning to grind grain, to make bread, to weave, to do all the tasks that women must know to survive, to maintain a household, to care for a family. And baby Seneb is no longer a baby. He is 3 now, walking, talking, getting into everything, full of energy, full of curiosity, full of the life that still seems endless when one is so young. Nefret also shows the passage of time. She is thinner than she was, worn down by years of work, of childbearing, of making do with little, but she remains steady, reliable, the center of the family, the one who holds everything together. when things threaten to fall apart. Together, they continue, day by day, doing what must be done, surviving, enduring, living in the only way they know, the only way that is possible for people like them in a time like theirs. The pyramid grows, they grow older, time passes, the seasons turn, the river rises and falls, the sun crosses the sky, day after day, after day, after day, endless, eternal, unchanging, and yet everything changes, slowly, imperceptibly, but changing, always, moving forward, toward whatever comes next, toward the completion of the pyramid, toward the end of their lives, toward the great mystery that awaits all living things. But that is the future, and the future is uncertain, unknowable. All they have is now, is today, is this moment, this breath, this heartbeat, this step, this stone, this day, and then the next, and the next, one following another, in an endless chain, leading where no one knows, no one can know. They just continue. 10 years have passed since Khufu first came to the pyramid. 10 years of pulling stones, of climbing ramps, of endless, exhausting, repetitive labor. He is 40 years old now, or perhaps 45. He is not certain exactly. The years have blurred together, one much like another, until he can no longer distinguish when one ended and another began. He is an old man by the standards of his time. His hair is gray, his face is deeply lined, his body is worn, broken down by decades of hard labor. His hands are gnarled, twisted, the fingers no longer straighten completely. They remain slightly curved, as if forever gripping an invisible rope. His back is bent. He cannot stand fully upright anymore. The years of pulling, of straining, have permanently changed his spine. He walks with a slight stoop, a shuffle, the easy stride of his youth, long gone. But he continues, still working, still pulling, though not as much as before. The overseers recognize his limitations, assign him lighter tasks, less demanding work. He helps maintain ropes, repairs damaged sledges, assists younger workers with advice, with guidance. His son, Kanti, now pulls stones in his place. The boy, now 20 years old, strong, capable, does the work his father can no longer do. This is the way of things. The old give way to the young. The work continues, passed down from generation to generation. The pyramid is nearly complete. After 20 years of construction, after millions of stones, after countless hours of labor, the great structure rises almost to its final height. Just a few more courses of stone, and it will be finished. The top will be capped with a pyramidion, a single stone covered in electrum, a mixture of gold and silver that will gleam in the sunlight, visible for miles, a beacon of the pharaoh's power, of Egypt's glory. Khufu looks at the pyramid now with different eyes than when he first arrived. Then it seemed impossible, a task too great to ever complete. But now it stands nearly finished, a testament to what humans can accomplish when they work together for long enough, with enough patience, enough persistence. He has pulled perhaps 10,000 stones, perhaps more, perhaps less. He does not know the exact number, but he knows that each stone he pulled is somewhere in that structure, part of something that will last forever, long after his name is forgotten, long after his bones have turned to dust. Those stones will remain. There is something comforting about this, something that gives meaning to all those years, all that pain, all that exhaustion. It was not pointless. It was not meaningless. It was building something eternal. The day comes when the final stone is to be placed, the pyramidion, the capstone that will complete the great work. This is a special day, a day of ceremony, of celebration, of thanksgiving to the gods who have allowed this monument to be completed. All workers are assembled, thousands of men who have labored over the years, those who remain, and those who have returned for this occasion. They gather at the base of the pyramid, looking up at the structure they helped create. The pyramidion has been prepared with great care, covered in electrum, inscribed with sacred texts, blessed by priests. It sits now on a special sledge, ready to be pulled up the ramp one final time to the very top of the pyramid. But this stone will not be pulled by ordinary workers. This honor goes to the senior craftsmen, the master builders, the overseers, the men who have guided the construction from beginning to end. Khufu and the other long-serving workers watch from below. They are not part of this final ceremony, but they are witnesses to the completion of what they began so many years ago. The pyramidion begins its journey, slowly, carefully, up the ramp. The men pulling it are dressed in clean kilts. They move with precision, with dignity. This is not ordinary work. This is sacred duty. The workers below watch in silence. The only sound is the chanting of priests who accompany the stone, singing prayers, singing praises to the gods, to the pharaoh, to the eternal. Higher, the stone rises, higher and higher, until it reaches the top, the very peak of the pyramid. There, the master masons wait to guide it into place, to set it perfectly into position. The fitting takes hours. The alignment must be exact. The stone must sit precisely, centered, level, perfect. The masons work with all their skill, all their knowledge, to ensure that this final stone, this crowning glory, is placed correctly, and then, finally, it is done. The stone settles into place. The pyramid is complete. A cheer rises from below. Thousands of voices shouting, celebrating, rejoicing. The work that seemed impossible, endless, has been finished. Khufu does not cheer. He simply stands, looking out at the pyramid, complete now, perfect, eternal. He feels not joy exactly, but something quieter, deeper, a sense of satisfaction, of completion, of having done what he was meant to do. Tears come to his eyes. He does not know why. He has not cried in years, in decades, but now tears come unbidden, rolling down his weathered cheeks into his gray beard. Beside him, other old workers also weep quietly, without shame. They have given their lives to this work, and now it is done, complete, finished. There is relief, but also something like grief. The work that defined them, that gave structure to their days, is over. What now? In the days following the completion, the workforce begins to disperse. The temporary workers return to their homes, their farms, their normal lives. The ramps are dismantled. The tools are collected. The pyramid site grows quiet for the first time in 20 years. Khufu and the other permanent workers are given a choice. They can stay in the village, continue to work on smaller projects, maintaining the pyramid complex, building temples, making repairs, or they can return to wherever they came from before the pyramid. Khufu chooses to stay. This village is his home now, has been for 10 years. His children were raised here. His wife has made a life here. There is nothing for him back in the village of his birth. Most people he knew there are probably dead by now, or scattered to other places. So he stays, working lighter jobs, maintaining the completed pyramid, helping with the ongoing construction of the temple complex that surrounds it. The work is easier now, less demanding. He can almost rest while working, his body grateful for the lighter load. Kanti continues to work as a stone puller, but now, on other projects, there is always building to be done. In Egypt, always monuments to construct, temples to raise. The work never truly ends, it just shifts to different sites, different structures. Little Hinat has married a young craftsman, a carpenter, who makes beautiful furniture for wealthy families. In Memphis, she has moved away to live with her husband. Khufu sees her occasionally when she visits. She has a child now, a daughter named Nefret, after her grandmother. This grandchild is a source of joy to Khufu, a reminder that life continues, that the cycle goes on, even as he himself grows old and tired. Seneb, the youngest, is now 13, learning his father's trade, beginning to work as a laborer. The pattern repeats, as it always does, as it always will do. Nefret, Khufu's wife, is also old now. Her hair is white, her face is lined, but she remains the center of the family, the steady presence that holds everything together. She and Khufu have grown old together, have survived together, have endured together for more than 20 years. They sit together in the evenings, as they always have, watching the stars, talking quietly, or not talking, just sitting in comfortable silence, the silence of two people who have lived a whole life together, who need no words to understand each other. Are you content? Nefret asks. One evening, with how things have turned out. Khufu considers the question, is he content? He has worked hard all his life, has little to show for it. Just a small house, a few possessions, a body worn out before its time. But he has a family, children, a grandchild. He has survived when many did not. He has seen the pyramid completed, has been part of something greater than himself. Yes, he says finally, I am content. I have done what I could with what I was given. That is all anyone can do. Nefret nods, satisfied with this answer. They sit in silence a little longer, then go inside to sleep, as they have thousands of times before. Khufu has learned many things in his long life, things that cannot be taught in words, but only through experience, through living, through enduring. He has learned that life is hard, always, for everyone, rich or poor, young or old. There is no escape from difficulty, from pain, from loss. This is simply the nature of existence. But he has also learned that humans are strong, stronger than they think, stronger than they believe. They can endure almost anything if they must, if they continue, day by day, moment by moment, breath by breath. He has learned that the work never ends. There is always more to do, always another task, another stone, another day. This used to frustrate him, exhaust him, make him feel hopeless. But now he accepts it. The work, never ending, is simply the nature of life. You work until you die, and then someone else continues the work. That is how things have always been, how they will always be. He has learned that nothing is permanent, except perhaps the stones of the pyramid. Everything else changes. People age, people die, children grow, families scatter, villages change. Even the Nile changes its course. Over centuries, nothing stays the same. Everything flows, everything moves, like water, like time, like breath. But he has also learned that some things remain. Love remains in the way Nefert still looks at him after all these years. Duty remains in the way his son continues the work that he began. Hope remains in the eyes of his grandchild, looking at the world with wonder. These things transcend the passage of time, the decay of the body, the approach of death. He has learned to value small things. A cup of cool water on a hot day, a meal shared with family, a moment of rest after hard work. These small things are actually the large things, the important things, the things that make life worth living. He has learned that the pyramid, important as it is, sacred as it is not the point. The point is the living, the continuing, the enduring. The pyramid will stand for thousands of years, but he will not. What matters is not the monument, but the men who built it, the lives they lived, the love they shared, the suffering they endured, the small moments of joy they found along the way. These are the lessons of a lifetime, of labor, of patience, of survival. They are not written in any book. They are not taught by any teacher. They are simply lived, learned through the slow accumulation of days, of years, of experience. And now, as Khufu grows older, as his time grows shorter, he holds these lessons in his heart, not as thoughts exactly, but as deep, fundamental understandings of what it means to be human, to live, to endure, to continue, until continuing is no longer possible. The day comes, as it must, for everyone, when Khufu can no longer work. His body has simply given out. His strength is gone. He can barely walk from his house to the courtyard and back. He spends his days sitting, resting, waiting. He is perhaps 50 years old, perhaps older, ancient. By any measure, most men do not live this long, especially men who have labored as hard as he has, but somehow he has survived, has endured this long. But now the end is approaching. He can feel it, a deep tiredness that does not fade with sleep, a weakness that grows each day. His breath comes harder. His heart beats irregularly. His body is shutting down. Slowly, gradually, but inevitably. He is not afraid. Death is simply what comes after life, part of the cycle. He has seen many men die over the years, has seen death come in many forms, sudden, gradual, violent, peaceful. It is simply what happens to all. Eventually, one evening, as the sun is setting, Khufu asks Kanti to help him walk outside. He wants to see the pyramid one more time before whatever comes next. Kanti carefully helps his father to his feet, supports him as they walk slowly to the edge of the village, to a place where the pyramid is visible, rising against the darkening sky. There it stands, massive, eternal, perfect. The capstone still gleams, though less brightly than when it was first placed. The structure catches the last light of the setting sun, glowing, almost seeming to radiate its own light. Khufu looks at it for a long time, saying nothing, just looking, remembering all those years, all those stones, all that effort, all that pain, all that time. I helped build that, he says softly. To his son, 10,000 stones, perhaps more, somewhere in that structure are stones that I pulled, placed, made permanent. I know, Father, Kenny says, his voice thick with emotion. You helped create something eternal. We all did, Khufu says, every man who worked there. We built it together. That is the only way such things are built together, not alone, never alone. They stand in silence, watching as the last light fades from the pyramid, as darkness settles over the land. The stars begin to appear, the same stars that have watched over Egypt since the beginning, that will watch long after all of them are gone. Help me back, Khufu says. I am tired. Kanti supports his father, walks him back to the house, helps him lie down on his sleeping mat, covers him with a linen sheet. Nefret sits beside him, takes his hand Her hand is as old, as gnarled, as his own, but still, it is her hand, the hand he has held for more than 20 years. The hand that has been his comfort, his companion, through all the difficulties of life. Rest now, she says softly. You have worked enough, endured enough, rest. The family gathers around. Kenti, Seneb, even Hinad, has come with her husband, with little Nefret, the grandchild. They all sit quietly in the dimness, just being there, just being present for these final moments. Khufu looks at them, his family, his legacy, the part of himself that will continue after he is gone. They will carry on, will live, will work, will endure. The cycle will continue as it always has, as it always will. He feels at peace. He has done what he could with the life he was given. He has loved, has worked, has endured, has contributed to something greater than himself. What more can anyone do? His eyes grow heavy. The darkness begins to gather at the edges of his vision. His breath slows, deepens. He is so tired, so very tired. And slowly, gently, peacefully, he lets go, stops struggling, stops holding on, and allows himself to drift into the darkness, into the silence, into the place where all eventually must go, where there is no more work, no more pain, no more exhaustion, just rest, eternal, peaceful, complete. The pyramid still stands. 4,000 years have passed since Khufu pulled his stones, since he lived and worked and died. 4,000 years, and the pyramid remains rising from the desert sand, a testament to human achievement, to human endurance, to human persistence. Khufu's name is forgotten, lost to time. There is no record of his existence, no inscription, no monument, no memory. He has vanished completely, as if he never was. But the stones he pulled remain somewhere in that massive structure. Are stones that his hands touched, that his effort moved, that his sweat fell upon. They are still there, anonymous, unmarked, but they're part of something that has lasted millennia, that will last millennia more. This is the nature of most lives, anonymous, unremarked, forgotten, but not meaningless, not pointless. Each life, each effort, each stone contributes to something larger, to the great, ongoing structure of human civilization, of human achievement, of human existence. We honor Khufu tonight, not because he was great, but because he was ordinary, one man among millions who did what he could with what he had, who endured, who persisted, who continued, day after day, year after year, until he could continue no more. This is the human story, not of heroes, but of workers, not of glory, but of endurance, not of monuments, but of lives, lived as well as possible under difficult circumstances. And now, like Khufu, you too can rest, can let go, can allow yourself to drift into darkness, into silence, into the deep, peaceful sleep that is the birthright of all who have worked, all who have endured, all who have continued as long as they could. Close your eyes. Now, feel your body growing heavy. Feel yourself sinking down, down, into your bed, into the soft, supporting darkness that holds you gently, safely, completely. There is nothing more to do, nothing more to think about, nothing more to worry over. Just rest, just sleep, just let go completely, totally. Finally, the pyramid stands silent in the desert under the stars, the same stars that watched over Khufu 4,000 years ago, the same stars that watch over you tonight. And in the silence, in the darkness, in the peace that surrounds the ancient stones, you too can find your rest, your peace, your sleep. Sleep now, like Khufu, after his long day of labor. Sleep, deep and dreamless. Sleep forever, if you wish, or just for tonight. It doesn't matter. All that matters is sleep, is rest, is letting go of everything and allowing yourself to simply be at peace. The story is complete. The work is done. The pyramid stands eternal, and you can sleep finally, deeply, peacefully, completely. Sleep well, sleep deep, sleep, and rest in the knowledge that you too are part of something larger, something that continues beyond individual lives, beyond individual effort, something eternal, something that matters. Sleep now. Thank you for joining us on this journey through ancient time, through the life of an ordinary man who helped build something extraordinary. May you sleep as peacefully as Khufu after his life of labor, of love, of endurance. Good night. Sleep well, sleep deep, forever.